Hi friend, Dr. Kevin Agarth here. This is Marriage Partners Ministries. Hey, I got a really great email and they just want some clarification on one of our key principles that we teach. And so I just wanted to share it with everybody because I know that'll be very helpful to you. So the email I wrote in and they asked us, I'm just kind of summarizing. Basically they're wanting to know about demands. So they took our home DVD study course and they come to realize that if you do a demand in marriage, that's a terrible love unwinder. And so they're wondering, how can I get my needs met if my spouse won't pay attention, if they won't fulfill my needs, if I ask nicely and they won't? And in that instance, is it okay to have a demand? So this is a great topic to talk about. There's a couple of issues here. There's an issue of demands, there's an issue of getting needs met, and there's the primary or the highest issue, and that's that we need this couple to be in romantic love. That incredible attraction. Friends, that is the reason why people get married in the first place, is because they're in love. They're experiencing that intense emotion. And so we want to sustain that in marriage, because when people are in love, nobody is talking about a divorce, ever, when they're in love. So yeah, it's really important to get your intimate emotional needs met in marriage. And we call those love raisers. We tell you exactly what they are, how they work, what is included in a love raiser, what is not. We go over that in the home DVD study course. I won't go over those again now. But here's the key thing, is that if you take the course, you will have buy-in. You will understand how important it is to meet your spouse's intimate emotional needs. They won't have to try to twist your arm. They won't have to try to force you to do it. You will see how tremendously valuable it is. And you'll see that it's actually required. It is a necessity. If you want to remain in love, if you want the reason you made that marital commitment in the first place to still be there, the foundation, so to speak, then you've got to meet your spouse's intimate emotional needs. And so this particular emailer that was writing in, I would highly suspect that their spouse never viewed the course, that their spouse didn't see that their spouse didn't go through the workbook to understand what each other's love raisers are. And so that would be my first thing, is I would suggest, hey, have your spouse take a look at it. And then they will know how important it is. And they will want to, you won't really have to demand that your needs be met, but they will want to meet your needs. That brings me to two more things. One is on demands, and the other is on aversions. You know, we don't want to have demands in our marriage at all. Even if it's for a good reason, you don't want to have demands in your marriage, because when you impose a demand on somebody else, their subconscious mind resists it. They want to push back. They want to fight against it. It doesn't feel good, and they want to get away from that. Demands quickly destroy that emotion and that feeling of romantic love. So we need to get demands out of the marriage. We need to get them out entirely. Now, some people would say, well, if I didn't have a demand, if I didn't use demands, my spouse would never meet my needs. They wouldn't have heart-to-heart conversation. They wouldn't do something that they themselves don't feel value in. And, you know, so I want you to think about it like this. Most men, not every man, but most men, their top intimate emotional need is sexual fulfillment. Next is going to be recreational companionship. And there's different orders for different men. Sometimes some men really crave affection. But as you go through the course, you'll find out what your individual needs are. And here's the thing. So men will typically be very willing to give their wife sexual fulfillment. If their wife says, hey, I need to have more sexual fulfillment, you're not meeting my needs, most men get it. They say, oh, okay, because experientially they know that they have that same need themselves. They feel the value of that need experientially. So generally speaking, they're willing to give it. But when a wife comes to a husband and says, hey, I need more heart-to-heart conversation. Now, and a lot of men, they don't have that need. And so experientially, they just don't get it, why that need is so important. They don't get it, how it feels so good and how it's such a necessity for their wife. And so they tend to be a little lackadaisical in actually meeting that need. But when they take the home DVD study course, they will realize how important that need is, even though they don't experience it. It's a real education. And, for a lot of women out there, a lot of women, they don't have an intimate emotional need for sexual fulfillment. Or maybe it's way down on the list, maybe at 5 or 6 down on the needs list. And for men, it's generally on the top. So a lot of women, they have a hard time understanding, how could that be so important to you? I just don't get it. And sometimes they start to think something negative about it, like is your testosterone level too high? Or, they start to wonder if there's something wrong. And there's nothing wrong. But when they come when they get this training, they will understand and they will realize what's so important. In this particular emailer's situation, there's another possibility. The other possibility is, if you've went about trying to get your need met in a very negative way over a period of time, you can create an aversion in your spouse. So let me give you an example of this. If you've been asking your spouse for heart-to-heart conversation, and so they say, well, okay, and they sit down and they talk with you and they visit, and then you're critical. And then another time, the next day, you talk, they start to open up, and you interrupt them a lot. Okay, now it's a very negative experience. Then the next day, you tell them, I need conversation, I need to talk and for you to share with me. The next day, you are judgmental to something that they say. You disagree with it, and you're judgmental and suggest that they have some kind of character flaw. If you make it a very negative experience, or if you demand it, so for example, it might be 10 o'clock at night and your spouse is tired, they want to go to bed, they have no energy left, and you say, no, we got to talk. Marriages are supposed to have conversation. You got to, and you demand that they stay up and talk with you. You see, if you make it a negative interaction, you can create an aversion in them. An aversion is that they begin to have a negative emotional reaction just at the very thought of it. So if they just think about, oh, my wife's going to want to talk tonight, they can just get sick to their stomach. And that isn't what we call an aversive reaction. The same is true of couples where if a man is a little too aggressive about sexual fulfillment, he's kind of groping his wife frequently and very kind of aggressive, and oh, come on, honey, and 9, 10, 10, 11 o'clock at night, and she's beat tired, and the timing's not good, and she's just dead tired, and he says, oh, come on, and he pushes and pushes and pushes, and it becomes kind of a negative thing. And you can create a sexual aversion. And what happens is one day when she is in the mood, when a full aversion is developed, she will not even want to. She'll be repulsed by the very idea of it. So it's really important that we do not create aversions in our marriages. And friends, if you've already created one, it's probably time for a little bit more help. It's probably time to send us an email, and we can have a little bit of one-on-one coaching to learn how to then get rid of an aversion that's already developed. So it's really important not to let that aversion develop in the first place. If some spouses, they want to work on their marriage, they want to work on it, they'll get a course, they'll do it, and the husband or the spouse, the wife, maybe they'll just have no idea. They think it's good enough. They don't think they need any help. And it's working good for them. They don't know. And so they don't really look at the course. So they don't really do it wholeheartedly. And that kind of an instance, they're not going to realize how important it is to meet your needs because they haven't even seen the material. They won't receive that education. They won't receive that revelation. And what I would recommend if you find yourself in that place where you have a reluctant spouse, I would recommend you just do your side of it. You just do your side. You remain positive. You cut out all the love unwinders. You ramp up the love raisers. And what will happen is they're going to fall in love with you. They're going to be very much emotionally in love. And when that happens, you can very gently and casually introduce it. and ask them if they would be willing to look through that and check it out for you. Now, most people, when they have a sense of goodwill in their marriage, they say, "Well, sure, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't think we need it though. I think we got a great marriage, and that's because the other side's been working so hard at it." But they might say, "Yeah, okay, well." And there are some people that will say, "No, maybe tomorrow, or maybe this weekend," and tomorrow never comes. And with those type of people, I would suggest you do this very calmly, very politely, not belligerently, not rude, not being critical, not being judgmental, but just very gently just look at them and say, "I know you're very happy because I've been meeting your intimate emotional needs. Those are love raisers. Do you know what love raisers are? You haven't been doing my love raisers. And so my love for you is in a different place than what your love for me is. And I know that you love me, and I know you want us to have a great marriage." Oh, excuse me, I felt like I had to sneeze. And so, you could tell them, from your perspective, our marriage is perfect. From my perspective, it is not perfect. We need help. This will help us. So you just let them know very calmly, but very direct and very respectfully, we need help. You might not realize it, you might not feel like it on your end that we do, but on my end, I assure you, we need help. And that will generally, if there's a sense of goodwill in your marriage, if there's a sense of caringness in your marriage, that generally is all it will take to have them take a look at the material and start to learn about our intimate emotional needs, learn how to fulfill them, learn about what creates love in the first place. I think one of the biggest points of our home DVD study course that gets buy-in from people is that they discover what the bullseye is to a great marriage. They discover how to create and sustain romantic love. And everybody wants that in their marriage. Everybody wants it. And so it has a tendency to get buy-in for people to do things that maybe at first feel a little bit uncomfortable. For a lot of men, at first, it can feel a little bit uncomfortable to have some heart-to-heart conversation. You mean I can't just convey facts and detail and figures? You mean you gotta know how I feel about my boss? You mean I gotta tell you how I feel about that long commute to work? I can't just tell you it's a long commute, I gotta tell you how I feel? And at first it will feel very awkward. But just like a new workout routine, men, you know exactly what I mean. After a week or two of a new workout routine, it feels so natural, feels so comfortable. The movement feels very intuitive. You could practically do it in your sleep. And the same is true when you're learning a new relationship skill. It'll feel awkward at first, but then after a short period of time, it'll feel very comfortable. And then you begin to see all the fruits develop in your marriage. You'll see the patience develop. You'll see the love develop, the emotion. You'll see that sense of gratitude and that sense of optimism and enthusiasm come back just like when you were dating. I mean, it's a beautiful thing to experience that and to see that. Friends, I hope you found this video valuable today. Please share it with a friend of yours, because what you make happen for others, God will make happen for you. Thank you.